So for some reason, you decided that you want out of California. Maybe it's the taxes, maybe it's the living expenses, maybe it's the people that you don't like, maybe it's the politics. But whatever your reason might be, that's exactly what I decided to do. I actually moved all the way across the country with my family to a place called Fairfax, Virginia, which is a small county outside of Washington, D.C. And if you stick around to the end of this video, I'm going to give you my top 5 reasons why I moved across the country to Fairfax, Virginia. And I'll even give you the bonus of why you might not want to move to Fairfax because, well, the reality is no place is perfect. But you'll have the information and you decide what you want to do with it. Let's get to it. Hey, my name is Paul Kim and I'm a licensed realtor out here in Fairfax County, Virginia. I actually lived out here 20 or so years ago for most of my childhood. And then like most people growing up, they decide, hey, I grew up here, I want to leave. And so I left. For 20 or so years, I went all around the United States, up towards Boston, all the way to New York, until I finally ended up in California because we thought that, hey, doesn't everybody want to live in California where it's nice and warm all the time? Turns out maybe not. This is why I decided to move back to Virginia with my family and hopefully not go anywhere else ever again. Let's get it. Reason number 1 is location, location, location. Now, if you look at the map, what you see is that because of this location, one of the lesser, maybe obvious things that come with this location is simply that you get 4 seasons. California was nice in that you did get to see a lot of sun. It was pretty warm most of the time, even though sometimes it got super hot where I was, but never really got cold. But for me, I actually like the 4 seasons. I do like the summer, I like the heat at times, and I like the sun, but I also value the rain. The rain is what washes away the dirt and the dust and puts out the wildfires, even though we don't get any out here. I like the winter when it snows. Yes, it can be a little bit cold, but there's something to going outside and playing in the snow with your family and your dogs and your, I guess cats, you don't really play with them outside, but your pets, and you come back inside, get a nice warm cup of hot chocolate, stand by the fire, warm up. There's a whole other thing to it that I really valued. And of course, the beautiful falls. Right? If you're into foliage, even if you're not really into foliage, you just like pretty things and you go outside, you see the colorful leaves, it gets beautiful here in the fall. So again, for me, I really valued that this location provides a diversity of 4 seasons as opposed to just 1. Now, the other thing about this location is that we are right outside the city, in this case, Washington, D.C., the capital of the nation. What does that mean? Well, if you're close to a big city, you get to enjoy the benefits. Now, where I moved to specifically in Falls Church, we're just a short 20-minute ride into the actual heart of Washington, D.C. So if we ever want to get great food that comes with cities, or the sightseeing and the museums and all these cool things that we could do with kids, and as adults, it's just literally in our backyard. We just drive down and we go see it and we come back. Very easy. It's very central to that. But at the same time, we're not actually in the city, and therefore we don't have some of the same problems that cities deal with, like pollution, being a little bit too overcrowded, a little bit too expensive, right? Because cities can be very expensive. We're kind of in that nice middle ground of having access to all these wonderful things, but not having too much of it that it becomes a negative. And last but not least, being in a good location generally means lots of job opportunity. Let's put it this way, there's a reason why Amazon HQ2 is coming here. Now, reason number 2 actually stems from the fact that we are in such a great location. Because of the location, there is a ton of diversity. And what I mean by that, I mean there's different kinds of people, right? People of different faiths, different backgrounds, different ethnicities, different races, different socioeconomic status. There's just different kinds of people everywhere you look. Now, there's 2 reasons why that's very important for me coming into this new city from California. Number 1 is if there are a large group of different types of people, that means that somewhere in that group, you're going to find people that are like you and like me. We're going to have a familiarity, we're going to have some comfort, because realistically, that's kind of how human psychology works, right? When you are in a new place, you automatically seek out people that are like you because it's comfortable and it makes it feel like home. But reason number 2 why diversity is so important to me is because I don't want to live in my own little bubble. I want familiar people around me that make me feel a little bit comfortable, but at the same time, I don't want those to be the only people that are around. I want to see that there are different kinds of people in this world. I want my perspectives to be challenged, and I want to grow as a person And really that happens when people who are different are around you and challenging your perspectives. And this is particularly important to me as a father of 2 girls. I don't want them to grow up thinking that the whole world is basically within their own little personal bubble. I want them to understand that outside of their own little world, their own little house, is a whole world of different people. And there's so much value out there that you can learn as long as you can open up your perspective. And the only way that can really happen is if you're in a place that's diverse and people who are different from you are going to constantly be shaping the way that you think. Number 3 actually comes from diversity. If you have a wide variety of people, you're also going to have a wide variety of food. Number 3 for me is food. Here in the Northern Virginia area, Fairfax, Virginia, Falls Church, D.C., wherever you want to call it, there are a ton of great options to eat. Now, where I came from in California, it wasn't as big of a city, so while we did have options, none of them were very good. Here, it's completely different. We have tons of different options and different types of food, but the important thing is all of them are good. You can find Korean barbecue, you can find Michelin star restaurants, you can find your hole-in-the-wall burger places, tacos, whatever, you name it, it's here and it's good. And I'm just gonna leave it at that because I'm gonna create way more videos down the road on different food options in this area. So you'll definitely wanna subscribe to those as well. Reason number 4, schools and education. Why is that important to me? Like I mentioned before, I have 2 kids. I want them to learn. I want them to have the opportunity to succeed. I want them to have a system and be in a place in a community where they are challenged to grow and to think outside of the box and ultimately do well. I do understand that school is not everything, and hopefully you do too. Parenting matters. But the school system does play a big effect as well. In Fairfax County schools, it doesn't get that much better than this. Here's a fun fact. 20 years ago, I actually used to live here, and the reason why my parents moved to Fairfax County in the first place was because of the school system and because they wanted us, myself and my siblings, to have the same opportunity that we are providing for my kids right now because of the education system. And now you might be asking yourself, well, I don't have kids. What do schools matter to me? Now the reality is, if you want to buy in a place with a good school system, that house is going to, one, maybe be a little bit more expensive, but at the same time, it's going to retain its value better because there's always going to be parents like my parents and myself who are willing to pay a little bit of a premium to get their kids into a better neighborhood for schools. Think about that. And reason number 5, cost of living. Now, by no means is Fairfax County, Virginia, the cheapest place to live. Like I said before, we're right outside of Washington, D.C. We have all these cool things nearby that we can drive through. We are in an amazing location. It's not going to be a very, very cheap place to live. However, compared to California, where we came from, it's significantly cheaper. The income tax is not 4,000%. Gasoline is not $17 per gallon. A bottle of milk is not $45. It is what it is. We're not California. Our cost of living is a little bit better. Now here is the bonus of why you might not want to live here in Fairfax County, Virginia. And that reason is traffic. Anytime you go somewhere nice where people want to live, like Fairfax County, Northern Virginia, just outside DC, you're going to have a lot of people that live there. And the more people live there, the more traffic you're going to find. Now, I will say that they're renovating a lot of the highways in the area to make it wider and more suited for traffic. There's also different ways that you can kind of get around the traffic depending on where you work, how you drive, if you want to take public transportation. And we'll get into all that stuff later, but I will say that is one of the downsides. But like I said before, if you're in a destination where people want to live, I mean, you're just going to have a lot of people. It's a matter of, is it worth it? For me, yeah, it was worth it. That's why I'm here. If you found this video to be helpful, be sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel so you can stay up to date with what it's like to be living in Fairfax County. And if you yourself are actually thinking about moving this way, don't hesitate to reach out via text, email, or even just a comment down below, and I'll respond as soon as I can to make sure that that process of getting you here is as seamless and painless and smooth as possible.